Bonjour tout le monde. Bonjour tout le monde. J'espère que vous allez bien. I hope you're fine. Welcome to our episode. And today we're going to talk about something which is very, very special as the ones we talked about in the episode before, and that is French accents. French accents. Okay, French accents. Now, the idea of accent is what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to compare it with what we already know, and that is our mother tongues and the languages we know, like English. So now, when you look at French, like when you see French words written, you find that they are on the vowels. There are those small things, yeah? Those small things you see on those vowels, yeah? On those letters. These are not decoration. Eh? They are not for decoration. They are not to decorate to make the word look beautiful, but they have a purpose, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The purpose of these small things. The purpose. Okay. So now these are vowels, but they have accents. Now these ones here, the things that they put on the top of these vowels, they are what we call accents. And they are very, very important because they determine how a word is spoken, how you're going to speak a word. And that's where the accent comes in. Eh? So you find that this E here is pronounced differently from the E here, and it's pronounced different from this and this and this and this. But they are close. Eh? They are closer. Like the E's, they are close, but they have a different way of being pronounced according to the accent on top. Okay. Now, before we continue, let us look at the normal vowels. Now, these are the normal vowels. These are the normal vowels. A, E, I, O, U. That's how we read them in English. A, E, I, O, U. But then the way we read them in French is different. In French, they say A, E. This one sounds a bit like O, but that E, A, E, I, O, I. A, E, I, E. A, E, I, O, U. And in Luganda, the way we pronounce them in French is closer to how we do it in Luganda. In Luganda, they say A, E, I, O, U. You find that there is a bit of closeness to A, E, I, O, U. Not like English where they say A, E, I, O, U. It's different. Okay? So now, from these vowels that we have comes these accents. Okay, these are the vowels. These vowels, they are the ones which determine the pronunciation of a word. That's why they are very important. They determine the pronunciation of a word and how a word is going to be pronounced. So now these are the normal vowels, but then it goes higher to whereby you find that these vowels will have accents, okay? And those accents are just to determine, to also guide in the way a word is pronounced, as we are going to see why. So, let us start with the very first one, the very first accent, okay? These are accents, eh? Let us look at the very first accent that we call accent aigu. Accent aigu. Accent aigu, it looks like this. Whenever you find an E that has this slanting forward, like looking forward like this, that is the accent aigu. This is the accent aigu, that sharp accent. So it provides sharpness. It provides sharpness of the word that you're going to pronounce, as you're going to see. Okay. Now, Accent aigu is like in English, the word say. Okay, it is a. Accent aigu is a. It is instant a. Okay, like in English, you say the word say. Okay, so it has that instant sound a. Just like in Luganda, the word ente, ente. So it is instant. Okay, it doesn't. It's not long. Eh? So it is used when when you find a word with accent aigu. For example, the word like this. Écouter, 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 which means to listen. To listen. Écouter. So the accent aigu. Aigu means sharp. It is sharp. Okay. In Luganda they say egumiza. Egumiza. It is very sharp. And then, for example, another example I can give is the word Ecole. 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 It is instant. Okay. It is very, very instant, and it's faster, as we're going to see. Okay. So Ecole means, of course, Ecole means school. Ecole means school. A school, eh? Ecole. Ecole. Okay. So now I can give you more. Let me give you more examples of accent aigu. More examples of the accent aigu. Aigu, aigu, aigu. For example, the word éduquer. Éduquer. It means, as it looks, to educate. To educate. Éduquer. Okay? So accent aigu is whenever you find a word with an accent aigu, there's that instantness when you're pronouncing the word, like écouter, éduquer, école. Okay, that is all about accent aigu. Now let us look at the next accent. The next accent is what we call. The next accent is what we call accent grave. Accent grave. Now, accent grave, instead of this one to slant from the other side, it slants the other way. Okay, it slants on the opposite side. So it also has a different way of pronouncing it. That accent grave. Okay, so it slants down from left to right. Now this one, accent grave, whenever you find words with accent grave, they're a bit longer in pronunciation. Eh? They're a bit longer, and then you find it in E, in the letter E, accent grave. You find it in the letter E. Mostly you find it in the letter E, and then you can also find it in the letter U, but let us focus on the letter E here. So it is a bit longer. Whenever you find it in a word, it's a bit longer. A bit, not so long, but a bit. For example, the word père. The word père, père, father. So it's a bit long. There's that elongation. It's a little bit. It's a little bit like mon père, mon père, mon père, which means my father. Mon père. Okay, mon père. So you can also find it in other letters, like the letter U, for example. I didn't include it here. You can find it in letter U, okay? You can find it in letter A, okay? With many words. For example, in the letter U, you'll find something like U, U, which means where, a wa, where, U. Now, where these accents become so important is that now, if you write U without an accent, the meaning will change, okay? They also help to determine, determine differences in words. Now, here, U means where, but then when you write it without the accent, it will mean O. For example, this or that, okay? So the accents are very important because they guide the expression, and they also create that difference, so that you are able to differentiate between words. For example, in the case of U and then U, same pronunciation, but then without that accent, the meaning will change, okay? So, so this is the accent grave. It's a bit longer. It's a bit longer, it's a bit elongated. However, the accent aigu we talked about, it is instant, okay? Like Ecole, like écoutez, but then here you see père, père, mon père, my father. So it's a bit longer, okay? So now that is it for accent aigu. We shall look at. Let me try to give more examples. Okay. You find it in other words like for example, la, which means there, la, there, eri, there, la, eri. The same way, if you change and then you write la without the accent, the meaning will be different. That's what makes accents very important. The meaning will change. It won't be the same. It will be different. For example, la without an accent just means the. We talked about these articles last week. So la means the. For example, la femme, la fille, the woman, the girl. But then la with an accent grave means there. So accents help in pronunciation of words, but not only in pronunciation, but also in differentiating words, okay? There are words which look exactly the same, and the only difference is the accent, okay? That's what makes accents very important. So they are not decorations, okay? So now we look at another accent. There are quite many, but not so many. So we look at another accent. We have, after the accent grave, we have the accent circonflexe. Accent circonflexe. Okay, so accent circonflexe looks like this. We have E, we have A, we have I, we have O, and then we also have U, okay, U. So it is accent circonflexe. Now, accent circonflexe, it has that little thing. It looks like a cocoa feeder. It looks like a cocoa feeder, like a heart, a little heart. But it also has its significance, as we are going to see. Okay. Just a minute. So now, for this axo circonflex, the pronunciation is also longer, like a bit longer. Eh? So you find it in words, but it will be a bit longer. Eh? For example, the word la, forêt, la forêt, la forêt. Okay, a bit longer. For example, the word l'hôtel, l'hôtel, l'hôtel. La forêt means the forest, eh? And then l'hôtel means the hotel. The hotel. But the differences are very, very tiny, eh? Are very, very tiny. Especially for these ones, for circumflex and then the others. But then they are important. Okay, those variations are very, very important to know how to pronounce different words with different accents. And then let me see. For example, another example I can give can be île. Île. Île means island. Ekizinga, eh? Île. It means island. Ekizinga. Okay. And then finally, we are going to talk about one last accent. One last accent. One last accent. One last accent, which is which they call accent, tréma, accent tréma. So you find it looks like this. The two dots, eh? The two dots, I, and then U. That is the accent tréma. Accent tréma. So you find vowels with two dots on two little dots on top. Now these ones, what they do is that they help you pronounce vowels separately. When you find them in the word, you find that that word is pronounced separately. The syllables are pronounced really separately. For example, when you look at the word Noel. Noel is Christmas, eh? Noel. So you find that the vowels are pronounced separately. Noel. Noel. Another word could be mais, which means maize, kasoli. Mais, kasoli, or mais. No, so with these accents, they help to really give a distinction between syllables. Eh? And then another example I can give here can be the word naive, which means naive, someone who is naive. Okay. So accents are like musical notes. Okay, let us look at them like musical notes. They show the variations, the changes in the pronunciation, the highness and lowness. They are musical notes. They give rhythm to words, rhythm to pronunciation. They also help to create tone. Okay, they are very, very important. And because music is also like language, so Music is language, just like French is language. So looking at these accents, we can see that accents are not really different. They are kind of related to musical notes, okay? Because they determine the rhythm, the lowness, the highness, in pronunciation and in expression. So they are very, very important. That is it for today. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very, very much. And I hope to catch up with you in our next episode. Don't forget to subscribe.